It's time for an epic battle in Europe. Welcome to the Clash Royale League. Today's first featured match is a battle of unbeatens at the top of the standings. The cheesy ones, Team Queso, heading to battle behind the streaking Saint Belican and the all-star So King. Across the river, the undefeated G2 Esports, led by rising star Canario. Buckle up! This one should be quite a ride!
Hello and welcome to Clash Royale League. I'm Rich Slayton. Joining me is Paul Inverum Toddkill for another day of action in the European region.
We are so very excited to be here once again with more amazing matches from Europe. This is going to be an amazing day of games, and with organizations like this from across the world participating here in the CRL, I would expect nothing less.
All 8 teams competing for a shot at the playoffs. The winner of those playoffs will represent Europe at the World Finals.
And of course, you can catch all the action right here on the Clash Royale League Esports YouTube channel, so be sure to hit that subscribe button or go over to esports.clashroyale.com to stay up to date with all the action. And of course, we have that new fancy Esports tab right on there in the app.
And 2 teams continue their journey today. Both of them are undefeated at 2-0. In one corner, G2 Esports. Across from them, Team Queso.
G2 Esports, of course, a team who's had a lot of success so far. They've had some amazing individual standout performances. We talked about Canario. He has been an absolute monster. You have to talk about the consistency of this team. They are always good.
And across from them, of course, So King, Benny Hu, Saint Belican, and Kuchiku from Team Queso, a team that is surging out to the top of our standings right now.
Oh yeah, they've had some moments that have some nail-biter, absolutely crazy moments, but they've always found a way to go clutch when it matters most. This is a team that can perform under pressure.
Today we have a player who is making his debut in CRL 2v2. Christy St. John is standing by with Fairchew.
Thanks, guys. So you and Team Queso are undefeated. How are you going to make sure that you leave this stage undefeated?
O sea, de momento no hemos perdido ni nosotros ni Team Queso. ¿Cómo vamos a asegurar de que no vamos a perder ningún partido aquí? Tampoco.
Pues como llevamos haciendo hasta ahora es trabajando muy duro, analizando al rival como siempre y es lo que nos ha llevado hasta aquí, así que otra vez, otra victoria.
Same as until now, the way that we work, the way that we analyzed our rival, we know what they play and we'll win today as well.
Of course. And you also are stepping in to fill some big shoes with Faye gone. Are you feeling that pressure?
¿Cómo te sientes que ya que Faye no está y vas a tener que suplirle en el 2 contra 2 también?
Pues yo presión no tengo ninguna nunca, estoy acostumbrado a estas situaciones, así que vamos con todo y vamos a ganar.
I never have any kind of pressure. I'm ready for this, and yeah, we're gonna win for sure.
Oh my gosh, I'm feeling the pressure. So hats off to you. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Christy. The battle for supremacy in the European region will take place in just a few moments. But first, let's review how today's action will go down.
It all starts with our 2v2 quickly becoming one of the favorite formats here in CRL. After that, we go on to our 1v1, and if we need a third set, we will advance to our King of the Hill tiebreaker. Each of these games, of course, these sets, has their own set of unique bans.
Those bans will be active for the entire set for all potentially 3 games, and to find out the strategy, both the lineups and those card bans, let's take a look inside the war rooms.
Bueno, Team Queso, chavales. Los conocemos más que nadie, bueno, subo bastante puntos a nuestro favor. A ellos también, los conocemos más que nadie. 2 contra 2 va a tocar a vosotros. Ferchu, ya te toca 2 para 2.
Sí, ya la verdad.
Sí, ya he ganado con todo, así que si no gana contigo ya sabes de quién es la culpa. Los bans bola tornado,
Sí.
todo bastante esperado. Creo que lo vamos a hacer muy bien. ¿Algún plan que queráis compartir? Para que Canario vaya más tranquilo a esperar.
Nada, vamos a empezar con Sabueso y...
Sabueso, claro, lo contrario hicimos la otra vez. Banear
Sí.
Sabueso, ahora empezamos Sabueso.
Ahora
Buena idea.
no se lo van a esperar así.
Y 1 para 1, Cana. Bueno, le hemos hecho, ya lo sabéis, todo el mind game. Les quitamos la lápida para que teman el ariete de Canario. No vamos a empezar con ariete, no somos tan tontos tampoco. ¿Y con qué va a empezar, Cana?
Pues con puercos. Puercos y más puercos porque es parecido al ariete directamente.
Ya está. El ariete, pero que son muchos y cerditos, ¿no? Sí. Pues nada, yo, confianza, nos ponemos tercero, primero de liga. Es el plan, ¿no?
Sí.
Sí. Pues ya está. Para adelante.
You know who you're playing against? 2v2, Belikin Benihu versus Sir and Fairchu. You know the bans, Tornado and Fireball. What are you planning on playing?
So we think that with those bans, they're going to use Royal Hogs. We're going to make sure we have counters to those Royal Hogs.
Perfect. Remember that they never use Snowball, at least from now on. So Balloon might be really good as well, okay?
Yeah.
Ok, 1 para 1. Vas contra Canario, lo sabes, ¿no? Bans de Lápida y Bola. ¿Qué tienes pensado?
En principio el mazo de P.E.K.K.A. con los zaps y tal, porque no hay bola.
Muy bueno, si no hay bola.
Y tampoco usar la lápida.
Vale, recuerda sobre todo que Canario juega muchísimo bridge spam, ¿vale? Así que ten claro siempre con respuestas al ariete y también con las máquinas voladoras, obviamente, no hay bola, así que molestan mucho, ¿vale? Okay, you know guys how to do this. We are 2-0, they are 2-0. Let's try them, okay? Let's get the streak going.
Let's go.
And just destroy them, okay?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Yeah.
You see before you two undefeated teams. Both prepare to stay unbeaten, but only one can. Let's get this started with 2v2. Queso and G2. Send your men into the arena.
The lineups are set. Everything the same on the side of Team Queso, but a little shift in the lineup here for G2.
Fairchu joining Sheer now for the 2v2 matchup. Fairchu, one of, again, the most consistent players in Clash Royale. When I talked to G2, that was the thing they said about this guy. He always is rock solid, playing with Sheer, who's a super fast, explosive player. But going up against St. Belikin and Benihu, these guys have had a lot of chance to practice together. We'll see if that makes a difference here in this matchup.
Team Queso, one of the programs we thought would be big time coming in, but of course G2 roaring to the top of the standings, and going into this 2v2 match, we have a pretty standard pair of card bands, the Tornado and the Fireball, inactive for the entire set.
Game number 1, set number 1, 2v2, Team Queso taking on G2 Esports.
Team Queso at the top of your screen, G2's Sheer and Fairchu at the bottom.
We do see Tombstone being dropped, fairly standard opening here, split Zappies and a Lava Hound in response from G2 here. So we are going to be seeing, I wonder if we're going to be seeing more of like that bridge spam-esque style deck in combination with that beatdown. It's something we've seen a little bit here coming out in 2v2, and something I'm really personally a big fan of.
You know, we had an interesting conversation the other day with trainer Luis, talking about the idea that, you know, when two decks are really closely matched up, that's when you see who really is the better player, because there's no matchup imbalance. But 2v2, because there are so many cards, 16 cards for each side, the decks usually end up having less of an inherent matchup imbalance coming in. And so this is where you really see which team is the better players of Clash Royale.
It's one of the reasons that I love 2v2 so much, because not only do you see those amazing individual mechanical plays, but it's the communication, it's the overall strategy, it's the play style, it's how you adapt on the fly to what your opponents are doing, and then effectively convey that to your teammate, and then utilize that to take the game. For me, it's truly one of the best examples of competitive Clash, because adding in that additional level of teamwork to me just raises the skill ceiling so high.
And so far, we're about halfway through the regulation period of this game, and no one out to a really heavy lead. Some slight damage on the right-hand tower of Team Queso, but so far, pretty much just battles taking place at the river.
Nice positioning on that cannon cart from G2 to stop the lock there from the cannon cart from Team Queso. Both of these Lava Hounds are passing here. It is going to be Lava Loon coming in now from G2. The Inferno Dragon going to make short work of the Lava Hound of Team Queso.
And the Balloon not getting through, getting pushed. A very nice move, pushing it more to the middle so there's no death damage on the tower. Very well played by Team Queso.
Showing a use for that giant snowball here in the 2v2 matchup. Just knocking that Balloon away off course. Strong breeze, I should say, gust of wind. There we go, pushing that Balloon out, as we do see a Mega Knight coming in now for Team Queso.
Another note on 2v2 as far as how important the competitive format can be. The other big difference is how big of a swing the elixir trades can be. Your positive elixir trades magnified by the fact you have a slower elixir flow, and because you can take out so many cards with just one spell.
I mean, you look at the fact you see these combinations like Tornado, Rocket coming in. If you're able to sweep up an entire enemy push, we're talking upwards of 20 elixir being dealt with there in that combination. So that kind of thing, you talk about the swings, these trades are absolutely huge. And once again, we are seeing a beautifully placed graveyard here for Team Queso to deny that Balloon aggression.
The Balloon not getting through. You have Team Queso with a slight lead on the right-hand side, getting the tower down to 1282 of G2, but G2 does also have the slight lead on the left-hand side. We maybe would see a lane switch, but it seems to so far be entirely on the right-hand side of the board.
Both of these teams, I think, are content to just slowly wear their opponent down. The poison will eventually do its work here, as we are seeing the miner additionally chipping away here, but on the right-hand side as well. Good response from G2. They are going here, responding, dealing damage, trading back and forth, but now a significant lead being developed for G2. However, there is a push being mounted for Queso.
We are 35 seconds into sudden death overtime, and it's really down to the wire here. We get a miner through, some significant damage on the right-hand tower. The poison is down, and that is it. The first game is in the books. TQ, Team Queso, St. Belican and Benihoo getting it done.
4 flying machines in the air, and one of them from Team Queso finds the lock. That was exactly what they needed to watch. This right-hand flying machine there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and done. That was the tower gone, and that was Team Queso finding an opening. It only takes one.
Those flying machines are like aerial snipers shooting from so far away. Very difficult to deal with, and we have seen them really shine in 2v2 so far.
Oh yeah, we've seen these cards because of the max, the versatility of them here too. These cards that have multiple purposes, offense, defense, can put pressure in both lanes. We are seeing them excel here in the 2v2 format because if like I need to drop something, oh I need to support this push, my ally's building, oh or I quickly need to defend this, you have options. We'll see if they utilize this again here as we get into game number 2.
Game number 2 on its way. A reminder, Fireball and Tornado, the ban cards. You will not see them at all here in 2v2.
Tornado, again, one of these cards we constantly see. I want to say it at close to 100% involvement rate in 2v2. It is just such a destructive card.
When not banned, of course.
When not banned, of course. But in the right hands, in the right situations, it is absolutely disastrous for your opponents, especially when paired with something like a Golem we are seeing now here for Team Queso, able to pull units back into that death damage, that splash damage, something that can be absolutely fundamental in disrupting an enemy team's defense.
Well, it seems like the hands here at CRL are all the right hands. So many high-level players. And here we have 4 of them, Fairchu and Sheer for G2. Across from them, Benihoo and St. Belican.
St. Belican looking to make something happen here with his teammate Benihoo pushing in onto the tower. The Golems are finding a way through. Going to be doing a little bit of initial chip damage here. The P.E.K.K.A, though, of course, from G2, going to be looking to shut that down. Perfect placement as well on that log.
Entering the 2nd minute of play in game number 2, a slight tower lead from G2.
Slowly whittling away with that miner. We are going to be constantly seeing these miners utilized here, able to just keep up the pressure on those towers, slowly chip them away, because 2v2 is really all about the chip damage. Very rarely do you ever see one big death push actually succeed in this format.
Interesting note, we saw a defensive miner there played against the cannon cart.
We did see defensive miner here, and of course, having those miners able to put it out anywhere on the field, able to use it. If that's, to me, that was still a desperation move. Like, look, we could have taken some serious damage here. That's never how you want to utilize that card. It is truly supposed to be an offensive chipping away tactic. You are constantly wanting to keep going, cycling it through, forcing your opponent to use Elixir to deal with it. So if you have to use it defensively, that is not an optimal situation.
Usually indicates you didn't have a more appropriate defensive card in your hand at the moment. And here are some appropriate cards dealing with that Golem. Of course, Zappies, when they get on a tank by themselves, can be so devastating. But the counter Zappies from Team Queso, given a little bit of help to get through, but not quite enough.
I love this, the additional Zappies, the support troop coming in from Team Queso, slowing down the P.E.K.K.A enough that the Golem was actually able to stay out of range a little bit longer and working its way a little bit closer towards that tower. They're not really able to get too much damage done.
The action at the bridge is fast and furious. The Mega Knight nearly getting the Zappies on the first run, but some nice distraction. Now he takes care of it, but an E-Wiz stops him in his tracks. The defense is so tight on both sides. We are just 17 seconds away from reaching sudden death overtime.
That could have been disastrous from G2 if that Mega Knight had connected onto the tower. That was a really nice play there with that Electro Wizard, as we are now seeing the poison slowly chipping down the tower here for G2. They now have the advantage going into overtime, so it's simply a trade of back and forth poisons here. Right now, Team Queso's in the lead.
The double poison so devastating. G2 has not found a way to force those poisons to be played. elsewhere off the tower, and it looks like that could be a big problem for them as we reach these final moments of the match. The Mega Knight does not get a jump, but still down to 180, 153. The miner is on. That is going to be it. It is Benny Who and St. Pelican for Team Queso taking the 1v1 set in back-to-back games.
Really fantastic, phenomenal play from Team Queso. Some really good moments from G2 there as well. They just weren't quite able to respond to the minor poison. Really just solid overall play from Team Queso. Beautiful defense, identifying their win condition, executing on that win condition, never overextending, never overcommitting Elixir. They did that phenomenally here. Lots of energy coming out now from Benny Who and St. Pelican, and it's a lot of these just little plays. The chip damage just comes in every single time. Some sick plays like that, though, with the giant snowball, able to push back that Inferno Dragon and actually allowing the Mega Knight to get through even a little bit further there, forcing out even more responses, and then allowing these poisons to get so much value in the back.
That redirect was absolutely insane. That's why these are the pros. You know, a giant snowball, we said before, not making a lot of appearances in 1v1. Here in 2v2, showing off why it's valuable, especially with that shortened range of the Inferno Dragon.
The Inferno Dragon, of course, once you get it out of range, it has to find a new target to lock onto, but having the bats there, providing that additional, layer of protection for that Mega Knight, that was crucial play there from Team Queso. They played that to perfection. It's those small, high-level plays that separate them out, and the reason they came out on top.
And your winners there, St. Pelican and Benny Who, continuing their run of fantastic performances in 2v2, now taking Team Queso within just 2 games of moving to 3-0 and being alone at the top of the standings in the European region.
But G2 is not out of this yet, Rich. They still have a chance. They have this 1v1 set coming up here in just a second. They have an opportunity for redemption and to take us to King of the Hill.
In this battle, at the top of the standings, we're in store for a 1v1 treat. Titans will collide. Soking and Canario, bring the best you've got. Glory awaits in the arena.
1v1 about to begin, and both teams putting a player you'd like to have on the board. For G2 Esports, it's the Giant Slayer, Canario.
Canario going on an absolutely incredible run in his last match, taking down Team Liquid, Surgical, Goblin, and Diego B back-to-back, but he's going up against the Spanish superstar, Soking.
Soking, one of the top players at the King's Cup, one of the top players here, one of the most decorated players in all of Europe, representing Team Queso in the 1v1 set.
This is going to be one of the most fantastic 1v1 sets we have seen yet in Europe. I'm already calling it now. Interesting bans, though, coming out from both of these players.
Yeah, the Fireball, a pretty standard ban, but then we have the Tombstone as a ban. Very interesting, Paul.
Tombstone, interesting here because we often see that used to disrupt things like Golem pushes or Balloon pushes, a lot of these sort of things, but it's such a crucial, it's just a cheap card that fits perfectly into a lot of decks. So interesting because while he's banning it from his opponent from using it, it's also a crucial component of a lot of decks he may also run. We see it often running Graveyard as well here. So interesting ban here. We'll see how this affects the play going into our first game.
1v1 is underway. Team Queso's Soking at the top of your screen. G2's Canario at the bottom.
Canario going to look to come out here and draw first blood and shut down the momentum that Team Queso has built after that dominant 2v2 performance. Royal Hogs to start things off and a fast response with the Valkyrie and Log from Soking.
Now, some people look at that Valkyrie Log counter for the Royal Hogs as, well, you're spending 6 against 5. Remember, you still keep a Valkyrie on the board after that. So actually, one of those trades that a lot of the pros do like.
They do like it here because that Valkyrie able to take up a couple shots from those zappies, allow a few additional hits from that miner to go through, but still, once again, the Hogs are here, slowing them down with the Ice Wizard, committing a lot to respond to these here. But again, because those Royal Hogs don't actually, of course, target those units, we still have a push now developing from Soking in return.
What a very quick cycle, though, for Canario. You see the bats, the skeletons, and the zap right there. That's only 5 elixir. So far we've seen a 4 elixir card, but if he has something else small, that cycle for the Royal Hogs might be a little quick for Soking to keep up with.
That's going to be very difficult here to make sure that he has all of the responses, all those defensive tools in hand when he needs them. But we do, of course, have, a pretty good answering here in that cannon cart with the poison as well here. Soaking will be able to mount some offenses of his own.
Soaking with that Valkyrie minor poison control, so a very strong defensive deck. And it's the battle then. How will the defense hold up against the speed of the cycle for Canario?
A very aggressive offensive deck now from Canario in response to the highly controlled deck from Soaking. So it's really going to come down to, I think, a lot of this to execution. Who can perfectly place down these troops? We're watching them here. Look at the placement right there with that Valkyrie, with that Ice Wizard, not allowing a single hit through on the tower.
You know, Soaking looking like he has the matchup advantage and so far playing it pretty much to perfection. A little snuck through there, but some nice combinations, and he'll just have to keep on getting that miner onto the tower. A little distraction there from the Zappies, but he will still get a nice chunk of damage here supported by those minions and the Ice Wiz.
Beautiful push coming in now from Soaking. That was exactly what he needed to do. Those minions doing work against the Zappies, able to take them down all off the back of some beautiful positioning with that Ice Wizard, placing it exactly perfect in the back so that when it crossed over on the bridge, it wasn't going to be that primary target. Solid play from Soaking now, and now Canario is definitely on the back step.
Canario has to address that miner, does so using those Zappies, but with the poison down, not going to really be enough to stave off the most important damage. With just 10 seconds left here, looks like Soaking could be just seconds away from sewing this whole thing up.
And we are seeing the Tornado. Beautiful response, bringing all the Hogs back. Of course, the right-hand tower is in poison range, so that is going to be it. That was it.
That was it. That was the last gasp of fresh air there for Canario. It's Soaking sealing the first game, now putting Team Queso just one win away from being alone at the top of the standings at 3-0.
Beautiful play here from him, identifying exactly what he needed to do to win. Having just a lot of these sick plays at the end, that was just it. All you needed was that solid chip damage, under 300 HP, poison and log will do it every single time. Beautiful play overall from Soaking there, identifying those Royal Hogs. That was the only real win condition. That's all I have to address. If I constantly feel like if I deal with those, there you go.
And everything in Soaking's deck was designed to counter the Hogs. He was able to get back to his Valkyrie so quickly. You saw an actually faster cycle for Soaking than for Canario. And mixing that with the Ice Wiz, with the log, he's had so many tools in order to stop those Royal Hogs from getting the tower. And, you know, I wonder, we saw, again, some split there at the end. Maybe that strategy might have come into play earlier in the match.
Well, we'll see going into game number 2 if Canario can change things up.
We are just one game away from a Team Queso sweep. Can Soaking sew this thing up, or will Canario, the Giant Slayer, do it once more?
Soaking, so quick. If he can do it in 2 games, that would be a dominant performance from Team Queso, showing that they deserve to be at the top of the standings here in EU. However, you cannot count out G2 Esports. There is always a chance for them to come back in these games. Never sleep on these guys.
Interesting note, Tombstone usually a part of Lava Loon. We're seeing Lava Hound now. You know, you don't wonder what they replace it with, especially since you're now seeing Soaking running those Royal Hogs.
And having a way more effectiveness with them here in game number 2. Look at how much damage already done here. More damage dealt to that tower, I'm pretty sure, than the entirety of game number 1.
But wait, Paul, that is a nasty lock on the right-hand side from Canario. The Inferno Dragon taking that tower all the way down.
So remember how I was like, never count out G2 Esports, like just now, when I was like, never count out G2 Esports. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. We don't watch, like, I'm thinking, like, you don't expect that to lock to happen. You expect something to get in the way, something to disrupt that. But the Inferno Dragon found its mark there on the Princess Tower, and it just got deleted.
So far, a nice lead for Canario, but there's a lot of game left to play. And with those Royal Hogs in his deck, Canario, looking at his side, we don't see a ton of defensive options there. We see the Valkyrie, you know, the cannon cart can be helpful, especially if it drops and then distracts them. But, you know, we don't have the same kind of stacked anti-Royal Hog deck we saw Soaking running in the last game.
Yeah, everything that Soaking had in that last matchup really just answered those Royal Hogs. But this time around, not only is it the Inferno Dragon show, it's definitely a little bit tougher here for Canario to respond to these. We are going to see a lot more chip damage coming through. Not quite able to find the splash there with the Magic Archer, and pushing him actually in line. Oh no, the beautiful play, pushing the Valkyrie in line so that every single one of those Magic Archer shots connects. That is next level thinking from Soaking.
We are now in the final minute in double elixir time. Soaking not giving up despite losing the early tower. You know, especially without having the Tombstone in the deck for Canario. Maybe he sees some opportunity here, getting the left-hand side down to 906.
If Soking can come back and take this tower from this massive of a deficit, that will just show how strong he is as a player here, because Canario is fully in control right now. He just needs to turtle up, play defense. He's going to continue putting a little bit of aggressive pushes in here, but he just needs to take it easy. Look, once again, trying to knock the Valkyrie in range. There's the Magic Archer splash, makes it through. Not happening this time around, but still, solid heads-up play here from Soking.
That was huge from Canario, keeping that Magic Archer from getting extra damage on the tower, but he can't keep these Royal Hogs. Will they do enough? Will the poison get it done with just 2, 1, 0? That is it. No. Canario holds on and sends us to a Game 3 to decide the fate of G2.
Inferno Dragon MVP
Woo!
for G2 Esports, finding its way through in the back. Just phenomenal play. You know, you're watching the Lava Hound, that's where your eyes are focusing. It's like, cool, awesome, all right, we're gonna get on through. But nothing was played. We just saw the Inferno Dragon find its way in. There was no response. Doesn't have the zappies there in time. Didn't have it just deleted.
You got to think at some point there, maybe Soking, you know, we saw he was low on Elixir, out of cycle for good defensive cards. You got to wonder if maybe he knew that he couldn't defend that tower. You saw him send the Miner after the Magic Archer instead. Maybe he made, we saw the Magic Archer and the Miner interact. Maybe he made a choice there that he was not going to defend that and instead prepare for his left lane push.
Either way, it was definitely not the most effective decision there for Team Queso, because now we are seeing game number 3, G2 showing life in this set.
It is Spaniard versus Spaniard in this matchup of Spanish teams to see who will take the top of the standings. Will Soking win this final game and close things out for Team Queso, or will Canario slay another giant and send us to King of the Hill?
If anyone is going to do it from G2, it's going to be Canario. He has already taken down some of the greats in Europe, showing that he can go clutch when it matters most, but Soking, we've seen what this guy can do. If he senses any weakness in his opponents, if he senses he has any advantage in the matchup, any advantage in Elixir, he will dominate in that instant there. We are seeing the silence being broken now as Royal Hogs are entering the field.
A reminder, Fireball and Tombstone both out for this 1v1 matchup. A part of the reason why you've seen Royal Hogs now in all 3 games.
Yeah, not having a quick, cheap, easy response to that there with the Tombstone, and of course that Fireball, the instantaneous response to those Royal Hogs. But often we see in the situations, you know, it's a bait. You know, we have 3M in the back. We have some other threat the Fireball needs to deal with. This time around, taking the Fireball out completely. And we, as you said, we're seeing Royal Hogs every single time.
Looks like we're seeing the same matchup possibly again here. The Lava Loon potentially coming here from Canario. And notice again that the Tombstone ban, which came from G2, also a good ban for running that balloon, because it is a cheap way to distract that card.
We are seeing a response here onto that Inferno Dragon, not allowing it to get a lock. And now actually is getting a lock on the tower.
Again, and nothing's taken care of it. The Magic Archer gets there, but a little late. Down to 866 is the right-hand tower of Soking. Amazing. The third verse is, I guess, same as the second in this case.
Soking, I had a moment there. I was like, you're not going to let it lock again. And then it did, Soking. Come on, team. As they are pushing in now once more, getting good response damage, though, with that Royal Hog. But still, I don't know what it is. Something that, you know, Canario was feeding his Inferno Dragons. They are absolutely insane.
That Zap Miner reset on the tower to allow the Inferno Dragon set the tone, but it is Soking firing back with some Royal Hogs. As we are into double Elixir time, these players are neck and neck.
With both of these players running poison, they do have an innate win condition in these decks. All else fails, they can cycle it down with spells alone, but still 4 of those needed to execute that here. But look at the tower on the left-hand side, getting chunked down with Royal Hogs and poison. Can G2 answer with only 25 seconds remaining?
I think he can. We're down to 259. Very, very close. Slightly outside of poison range, but Poison Zap will take care of that. With just 10 seconds left, though, he needs to get this done very quickly. G2's life on the line. A Miner getting through. Does barely get on the tower, but I don't think, will that be in time? Oh, just in the last final seconds, the tower drops. Canario extending G2's hopes for an undefeated record.
Good luck, says Soaking, because we have effectively reset this match. Both of these left-hand towers are full health going into overtime. Going clutch in the final moments is G2, taking us here into this overtime. Game 3 of our 1v1 set. They are not going down without a fight.
The Flying Machines have been the MVP of 2v2 and 1v1 so far. In this next couple of minutes, keep an eye on the Flying Machine play from both of these players.
And Valkyrie being dropped now, trying to counter out that miner, but beautiful placement on that miner with the poison as well in the back. Look at how much damage Canario is doing here. Soaking might be in trouble.
And with the cannon cart broken down, a little distraction here, but a huge push coming in. Will the Valkyrie be enough to stave off most of the damage? Down to 17-20 with the poison support, but as 1 minute is down in sudden death overtime, Canario still holding on to a slight lead.
He is going to start once again with this Lava Hound push, resetting this a little bit here. Going to start chipping away with this Magic Archer, but beautiful positioning on that poison.
Canario putting that poison down. Interesting, I thought he might try to drop that Flying Machine in the pocket there when that dropped and get it on the tower. He does not. I think he feels confident playing some more defense and working its way down. There's another Furnace to block those flying troops, but will they get a shot at the tower? No, it's the Magic Archer doing its job.
Beautiful placement on that Magic Archer. The Flying Machine was sort of there to body block for that Inferno Dragon, hoping to get it in range. They're able to take down the Furnace, but still, it was not enough. So now, once again, both of these players are in a knockdown, drag-out brawl with only a minute left in this match.
1 minute left, and do we have an answer for these Royal Hogs? The Valkyrie and Zap working together to mitigate the damage, but now everything is razor thin in the final minute of sudden death overtime.
The tower is slowly getting chunked down. The miner in the back, the poison is there. Canario is trying to seal this game for G2. There's the cannon in the pocket, and Rich, that is going to be it. We're going to King of the Hill.
The Giant Slayer does it again. First, it was Matt01. Then it was Surgical Goblin and Diego B. Now add So King to the list of heads on his wall. He just keeps doing it again and again and again.
Canario taking down the heavyweights of Europe with impeccable play, never allowing himself to get flustered in, always finding those moments.
Look at that Zap retarget we just saw on the replay, giving the Inferno Dragon just enough room to get it out. And here is that photo finish moment, just with only about a second and a half, 2 seconds remaining. The poison gets it down. You know, for a second it looked like that Furnace might get in the way of the miner, but it does its job. And here we are now going to King of the Hill.
King of the Hill, of course, our tiebreaker format. Each team will field 3 players. Each one will get 1 life. 3 wins, you're in. 3 strikes, you're out. First team with 3 wins takes it all. 1 player can, theoretically, take down all of the opposing team.
We've seen that happen a few times in CRL. Of course, if you're following the action in North America, you saw Razor do it not just once, but twice. Here, the last time, we've seen Canario not only showing off in the 1v1s, but we saw him in his last match in that King of the Hill against Team Liquid really doing work, and that's the guy to watch for on the side of G2. When he is in the lineup, anything can happen.
Anything is possible here. G2 Esports showing life in this set, not going down, as I said, without a fight. But speaking of fights, let's listen into these war rooms and see what these teams are planning.
Ok, Sir, vas primero, ¿vale? Te toca debutar en 1 contra 1 ya. Sir, la R más mayúscula, ahí.
La estrellita.
Primerito, dejamos descansar a Canario y Ferchu, te toca el segundo, que oye, el otro día te marcaste un partidazo contra Zili, hoy ni siquiera tienes a Zili, así que más fácil, ¿no? Más fácil. Bueno, quién sabe, también hay unos buenos bichos allí. Y Canario, tú descansas, nos has dado la oportunidad de llegar aquí, así que te ha ganado ni más ni menos que cerrar de nuevo. Será el tercer partido que cierres, porque ya has cerrado 2 seguidas. Sí. Así que te toca a ti ya. ¿Confiado? Sí. Van Tombstone y van Royal Hogs, lo teníamos preparado, así que perfecto. Vamos a darle.
Vamos a
Okay, guys, you know the lineup. The lineup will be first Gucci, second Belikin, and third Soaking. Vas a tener la revancha, casi seguro, a no ser que Gucci se lo limpie a todos, and if not, the British Beast will wreck them all.
Yes.
Let's go.
Whew! This match seriously couldn't get any better. Two top teams, and now King of the Hill? It's too much for my feeble royal brain. I mean, give me more, all right? Let's decide this once and for all. Or at least for now.
It will be decided for now, right now, King, with King of the Hill kicking off. And to start things for both teams, Sheer for G2, and Queso leading with Kuchiku.
Kuchiku coming out to lead off here for Team Queso, St. Pelican and soaking in reserve with Fairchu, and of course Canario as anchor for G2 Esports.
And for our card bans, we're seeing Royal Hogs, and again, another ban of that Tombstone.
Tombstone being banned here once more. Again, a super versatile card, fits into a lot of decks. We'll see if things are going to switch up a little bit here. Maybe more beatdown style coming out, not having that easy card to disrupt it like the Golem or the Balloon per se. But again, it's also good with against the Royal Hogs. This is a very unique ban. We'll see how this plays out.
Remember, those bans are live for all potential 5 matches of our King of the Hill set, and that's going to kick off right here, right now.
Will G2 keep the momentum alive, or will Team Queso shut them down? Right now, King of the Hill is getting underway.
Kuchiku from Team Queso at the top of your screen. Sheer of G2 at the bottom. Kuchiku, of course, on day 3 of EU action. Played 1v1 against Dion of Fnatic, took his win condition, the Graveyard, and swept him with it.
That's a feels bad man if I've ever seen it. We are now seeing an aggressive push coming out from Sheer, but the Rascals are there to clean this up. Interesting choice coming in from Kuchiku.
The British Beast from St. Pelican will possibly be up in the future, but right now it's Sheer versus Kuchiku, and you know, seeing some things we've seen before from Sheer at the bottom, but Kuchiku bringing some deck formats we haven't seen a lot here in CRL.
It's funny, you know, you talk about how it's not just, it's the whole team here behind these squads. There's not just one player out there. It may look like it, but really it's the combined thinking of the entire roster, putting, you know, these decks together, these matchups together, researching their opponents, all this together. You know, we're here in the war rooms. When these teams are deciding their lineups, they find out the bans made their team, and then they have to, though, select their lineup, select what order they want to do this in, figure out these card picks, you know, figure out these deck selections. So we'll see how that affects things going forward, because again, it's not just how they play in the moment. The planning that goes into this is so important.
Kuchiku showing off what appears to be a Mortar bait deck here in the first half of regulation time in the opening game of King of the Hill. So far, we have not seen the Mortar, but with the Miner in there, definitely not looking like a bait deck.
We are, of course, seeing the P.E.K.K.A, you know, E-Wiz bridge spam with that Ram and Bandit coming out now. Of course, for Sheer, another very popular deck here, all about, you know, putting those zappies down in the back, keeping up that split pressure, having that P.E.K.K.A to respond to any big threats your opponents will put out. And there is the Mortar, as predicted.
The Mortar getting down, but will it get a lock on the tower? It takes one miss on that Bandit, and there we go. That's why we saw Kuchiku waiting so long. He knew there was a tank in Sheer's deck, and there it is. The tank now, that P.E.K.K.A soaking up all the damage, and unless I am wrong, and I don't think it is, it combined with the poison will make short work of that Mortar.
It will indeed, but a solid counter push as well coming in on the left-hand side for Kuchiku, getting the Miner in the back. We are going to have a Bandit connection with the charge, though, on the top right-hand side. That was huge. Still finding an opening, but still, Kuchiku in a solid spot.
20 seconds left in double elixir time before we hit sudden death overtime. It's Team Queso's Kuchiku out to a lead with 13:53 left on Sheer's left tower and 17:16 on the right.
And once again, keeping up the pressure is Sheer, constantly trying to get, you know, one of these winning conditions down, whether it be the Ram, whether it be the Bandit on one side or the other. But I actually like using the Rascals here for Kuchiku. Just a really good defensive tool here, and it's still probably going to get some damage every single time they cross the bridge.
This is interesting. The Mortar, you know, you think with a Mortar cycle or Mortar bait deck that is going to be your win condition, but so far, Kuchiku showing us why that's not necessarily always the case. When the Mortar can't get its lock, that's the beautiful part of having that Mortar Miner. The Miner can get in and do some significant work, and now out to a pretty hefty lead on that left-hand tower.
I like the fact that Kuchiku isn't trying to force the Mortar in. If there's not an opening for it, if it doesn't feel right in the cycle of his opponent, he's not going to drop it and put himself at a disadvantage. I like this from him. He can very easily put himself in a rough position trying to overcommit and over-aggress. However, in this moment, we are seeing what potentially be a slight little base race here. They're trying to go in, trying to commit to this left-hand tower, but he also needs to clean up the P.E.K.K.A here. It's getting very close to the right-hand tower, dropping all of the goblins in front.
Both players holding these big cards for each other. Sheer so far keeping that P.E.K.K.A most of the time, waiting for that mortar to drop. There, he kind of let it go early, and Kuchiku typically keeping that mortar in response to the P.E.K.K.A, knowing now at 539 on the left-hand side, he is now very, very close. Now he is within fireball range. The Law gonna do it. That is it. A nice early win here
For Kuchiku.
for Kuchiku.
Kuchiku realizing that he didn't necessarily need the mortar here. He didn't want to overcommit with this, realized that he could get it done with those miners, with those openings that he's creating for himself, and that, the mortar might necessarily not put him in a good position here. He did it without it, only using it once that entire match, and still making it work here over Sheer. Beautiful play here from Team Queso.
And for those of you at home looking to up your game, watching what Kuchiku did there is a really good lesson. A lot of people are trying to play a mortar miner deck, and they keep on using that mortar over and over again the exact same way, but you do have two ways to win in that context. And so the slight adjustment once he realized the mortar wasn't going to be how he finished it off, he switched over using that miner effectively, getting the victory, and that's what separates the pros from the rest of us regular human beings.
Again, it's making those quick adaptations on the fly. That is what we look here in the Clash Royale League, and can he continue the streak here in game number 2?
Next up for G2 is the 20-year-old from Madrid, Spain, Fairchu, who already has shown off a bit in King of the Hill when he beat Azelis from Team Liquid.
This guy is known for his insane sparky play. I wonder if we're going to see that make an appearance here in King of the Hill. He's known for playing relatively passive until he thinks he has an opening himself, and then he'll go hyper aggressive. Maybe seeing a similar deck coming down here once again for G2 Esports.
Yeah, looking like it might be bridge spam for Fairchu here on the bottom. Kuchiku now with the bowler way in the back.
Potential splash yard coming out here for Kuchiku. We will see. And I like this, though. Already just playing the P.E.K.K.A down, realizing he needs to shred through this bowler. He cannot let it, have a solid position here in this setup. But the Ice Wiz as well going to be slowing that right on down. But the P.E.K.K.A is just going to march and keep on marching all the way through.
Yeah, 3 area of effect damages. It might be a splash yard variant of some sort, maybe not necessarily a traditional splash yard. But again, now that's 4 cards that will be able to damage more than one opponent at the same time. So building that direction against Fairchu, who is now looking to defend against the Ewas with the Bandit.
If it is going to have that graveyard in play at some point, keeping the poison in the back will be Fairchu, knowing he's going to need that to negate that push. E-Wiz is a pretty good option here as well, but saving poison for graveyard is always just an instant counter.
A great counter, and doing a lot of work on defense and giving him the opportunity to do work potentially in the opposite lane, especially if he can if that Ram is somewhere in his deck, get that and get it on the tower.
Not, having the over the top here aggressive bridge spam that we're used to seeing here. Oh, the positioning on that E-Wiz not exactly in position. There we go, trying to reset and finding that Inferno Dragon there. That was absolutely crucial, stopping it from ramping up, and the miner going to be in the back here as well. That's the chip damage that Fairchu is looking for.
And Fairchu gets the miner down, does not have the zap ready for the reset, so not going to save the P.E.K.K.A to do that heavy damage as we move into double elixir time.
Double elixir time. Both of these players have conditions that they need to execute beautifully here, because again, solid defense on both sides right now. So solid for Fairchu that he hasn't taken a single point of damage yet, but there's still 2 cards we are waiting to see from Kuchiku.
So not that full-on bridge spam with the Ram here. Instead, we're seeing minor poison with a lot of support. So he's going to keep on trying to chip away at that tower. Again, he has a lot of options to defend against what we are thinking is graveyard on the right-hand side. So interesting that he's putting the poison out there offensively, and there you go. The second he does it, the graveyard behind his back.
I love this. The second he finally is able to get a solid push mounting, puts the graveyard down as well. But Fairchu, expecting this here, gets the poison down to immediately start to counter that. But still,
oh, that's a Kuchiku poison that got down there. Yeah, taking out those minions in defense. Now pretty much evening things up as we go to sudden death.
Oh, there you go, stacking it up. Nicely done there from Kuchiku, committing that there as well. The GY poison, always such an effective combo. I just habitually assume it's going to be Fairchu, of course, looking to cancel it out. But no, in this situation, beautiful play from Kuchiku.
The minor P.E.K.K.A poison control deck from Fairchu now coming up against a little bit of stiff opposition. That aggressive poison might have been the wrong call. And again, a poison played up high Maybe he thinks that he has the correct answer to that graveyard, or maybe he's playing it and can get it back and cycle again, but not the play that you expect here against a graveyard deck.
Not the play indeed, because once again, the second the push makes it across the bridge, as the bowlers can survive, we are going to see the graveyard come down. The minions are going to be there to try and clean this up. But once again, that aggressive poison coming in as well, securing even more damage. The skeletons are there. The Ewa is going to try and clean this up, but not an optimal position for Fairchew.
You know, I think Fairchew might be taking some risks because he feels like he's getting outplayed at the bridge, or at least outmanned at the bridge. And now here we go, looking for the opposite lane push, but it's the Valkyrie picking up the Bandit.
Nice positioning there on that Valkyrie, baiting in the charge, bringing it right on back. And once again, we see the perfect lock on to the P.E.K.K.A. Nice after to reset that coming in as well. But going to find it once more there. That P.E.K.K.A. having the worst old time.
The P.E.K.K.A. just finding no way through to get to the tower, and right now Kuchiku appears to have control of the rhythm of this match. Can he keep doing the same thing, or will Fairchew make some adjustments and, if not close this thing out, get us to that? Remember, we don't have an actual draw here. If he can play this thing out, it's going to be lowest single tower. So no matter what, Fairchew has to make a move here and make it soon.
This is going to be very difficult because the push is continuing here. He is starting to build up enough in the back. The bowler is there, the Inferno Dragon as well, and that is probably going to be it right here. That is going to be GG. Kuchiku, 2 in a row, taking it for Team Queso.
2 up, 2 down for Kuchiku. Unbelievable play. We have seen him do it before in the 1v1. Here he is in King of the Hill. 1 win away from sweeping all of G2 and closing things out for Team Queso.
Beautiful play from him, never over-committing, finding his rhythm, getting ahead in cycle, able to get these pushes together. And the second one of his troops cross the bridge, like, perfect, this is the time for me to lay down my graveyard. Pick your poison, literally, in this situation. What do you want to have to deal with? My bowler, my Inferno Dragon, or you have to clean up this graveyard? It's going to take your tower. What are you going to do?
Fairchew just didn't have a good answer for those troops at the bridge, and so was forced to play the poison high over and over again, opening it up for that graveyard. And then, of course, the cards just weren't there to deal with that graveyard in the back. So a little bit of a matchup disadvantage, you might say. But here we go. We are now down to the Giant Slayer himself. Canario has been here before. He did it against Team Liquid. Can he do it here against Team Queso?
Game number 3, potentially the sweep here for Kuchiku. Just a reminder, Tombstone and Royal Hogs are banned, not going to be making an appearance here in our King of the Hill format. We are seeing what looks like a slightly different opening here from Kuchiku going up against Canario, just showing an Ice Golem and that Mega Minion. Nothing crazy here, nothing too committed.
Canario, Ice Golem, Mega Minion, and Poison the Night Witch out for Kuchiku at the top of your screen as he looks to add one more Team Queso shield to that list along the left side of your device.
Looking to get another win, seal it out here for Team Queso, making a clean sweep of King of the Hill, but standing in his way is the Giant Slayer. Both of these players bringing cannon carts to the battle right now, but beautiful positioning on that Ice Golem, giving Canario a slight advantage.
Canario potentially showing a graveyard variant. We'll see what happens as this match develops. The first minute of action already gone.
Already underway. We are seeing the Golem coming out, though. An instant response with Canario is that graveyard.
There we go. Graveyard Poison on the left-hand side, supported a little bit more with the Mega Minion. That tower, it looks like we might be... No, it doesn't go all the way down. Oh, sorry, it was the poison. That was the defensive poison.
We've both done it
We've
now,
both done
Rich.
it now. Every once in a while, you just
now.
read the color wrong. And there we go. We saw the Night Witch earlier. Very likely to see a Golem come in front of it. And here we go, the Golem making its push. And then now we see a tornado getting pulled together, but the Baby Dragon distracted by that Ice Golem. Not going to help out. We will see some damage on that right-hand tower.
Golem Nado going to be doing its work here for Kuchiku. Imagine how hard it would be to cast this game if you were colorblind. Actually not really doable here, but we do have a cannon cart getting a lock, getting a few hits through, 3 hits connecting on the right-hand tower. That is exactly the chip damage that Canario is looking for.
As we enter double elixir time, the Giant Slayer from G2, Canario, looking like he's going to possibly take one of these 2 towers, a nice lead, but it is Kuchiku in front of him who is just one win away from the sweep and clutching this thing, carrying Team Queso to the victory.
That was actually a beautiful defense there from Kuchiku, bringing the golem down to tank up a little bit of that, as well as the cannon card in the back, which now means he can't use his poison offensively. He realized, wait, no, I do have the tools in my tool belt, in the arsenal to defend this without burning my own poison. Using it offensively, effectively, and efficiently on the offense is so crucial, especially when you can pull off plays like that.
Remember, without Tombstone, it does mean you don't have a wonderfully cheap option for distracting that golem. So Canario, so far, doing a great job handling this without a really important tool in his belt.
Not having that solution there, though, but once again, we're seeing the cannon cart connecting onto the tower. This is actually massive. They're slowly chipping it down, wearing it away with the graveyard in the back as well. Getting it under 300 HP is Canario.
And now he is within poison range. All Canario has to do is defend this long enough to get that on the tower. Can he do it once more? Can Canario take down Kuchiku and extend the dreams of his team? Yes, he will. That is it. Canario does it again, taking down Kuchiku, and now he is one win away from being a hero in back-to-back matches.
EU Razzer, please, let's go. Canario doing so much work in this set, never getting flustered, identifying exactly what he needed to do to win. Beautiful play there. I mean, Kuchiku had some fantastic shakeups. You know, he's like, okay, I realize I can defend the GY. I don't need to burn my poison. It means I can use it effectively, I can use it defensively. But still, Canario's like, that's fine. I have the answer to your golem. I know exactly what's coming out here. There's a reason this guy is the anchor.
Canario's finger showing the #1, but also could say that's 1 down and 2 to go. And it's 2 big-time players in his way. Next up is going to be St. Belican. And if he can get through St. Belican, another match against Soking.
Not an easy task ahead. Can Canario do it? Let's find out.
And we are underway. G2's Canario at the bottom of your screen. At the top, Team Queso's St. Belican looking to close this thing out for his squad.
St. Belican, the 2v2 all-star for Team Queso, looking to make a mark here in King of the Hill. Night Witches on both sides, probably going to be beat down here for both teams. We are about to witness a war.
It looks like golem on golem violence is coming your way, potentially, as the Night Witches meet at the river, supported by the poison. Drawing first blood is Canario.
Drawing first blood, indeed, as we are having the golem pushing down now for Canario. Not going to have a whole lot to back it up here in this instance, but enough to distract the baby dragon, at least for now.
First minute down of the match. Again, a slight lead so far for the Giant Slayer. Canario looking to strike gold one more time here in CRL EU.
This is a great way to do it as he's getting in onto the tower. Both of these Golemites finding their mark, the death damage as well with the cannon cart in the back. This is a solid first push for Canario right now. 292 HP remaining for St. Belican.
Very strange from St. Belican. Curious what happened there. We'll have to take a look at that later. But no real defense mounted against that push. And here again, you know,
shaking his head.
I'm wondering what's going on over there on Belican's side.
Just realized, well, this tower's gone. Time to look to the other lane as he's resetting, putting a new push together, knowing that that tower is done and gone. I think just getting behind a little bit of Elixir to start that off, not expecting the high golem play coming out there from Canario, not really having the response he needed in the moment. And now we're just seeing standard pushes coming through from both sides.
Maybe seeing some uncharacteristic nerves from St. Belican, kind of half-heartedly spending too much Elixir on that defense, realized it was like, you know what, it's time to abandon this tower. Let's go focus on the other side.
Let's go focus. Because now, I mean, 26 HP, that thing is effectively gone. At any given moment, a Zap can clean that up. Now, a lot of players would still, you know, at the lower levels, try and defend this still, but a smart heads-up play to just let it go, focus on the other side. You know, and also the things Canario's doing here, he's playing his golem second, giving him that defensive reaction here is really putting him ahead of these trades.
We are now about 25 seconds into double Elixir time, getting very close to that sudden death overtime right now. Canario holding the game in his hands, looking to take one more down, and so he can face So King and try to clutch this thing for G2.
Poison Golem coming in now from St. Bellican, trying to find the tower once more here. Can they make it happen? The Golemites are pushing away. The cannon cart is here as well. Can he find it with only 10 seconds remaining? There's the tower going down with the zap, and I think that's going to be it. I think G2 Canario is going to take it.
The Giant Slayer strikes again. St. Bellican goes down. Oh my gosh, can he do it twice in a row? You know, seeing this, we get to call North America as well. Give me a best of 7 between this guy and Razor, because both of them are so huge in crunch time.
I will host that show match in an instant. I would love to see that go down. And speaking of going down, the tower for St. Bellican off this initial push, just absolutely getting demolished.
Just kind of getting caught in the middle, not fully committed to the defense, and then also spending too much elixir on it at the exact same moment. And so St. Bellican goes down, and it all comes down to this, folks. The entire, not just the game, not just the set, or I mean, not just the games, we have 3, or just one game. Not just the game, not just a set, not just the match, but the lead in the European region is at stake. Remember, both teams at the top of the leaderboard at 2-0. One of these will leave the top and in a great position to move one step closer to those playoffs, one step closer to the World Finals. Will it be Canario of Team G2, or on the other side, will it be So King of Team Queso? We're going to find out in just a couple of moments.
Oh, Rich, I understand what you're saying. The hype is so very real. In our last conceivable game of this match, it all comes down to this. One final battle between Canario and So King, G2 and Team Queso. One team will walk away with an undefeated record. Like I said earlier, the other team, they're just walking away.
I am so excited right now. This is what CRL is all about. And now we get to run it back from the 1v1 set. Will So King get his revenge, or will Canario do it once more and get the victory for G2?
A push coming out now from So King, the P.E.K.K.A taking the brunt of this push. All the while, the miner in the back for G2 doing its work, but not nearly as much as the push from So King. What a way to start this off.
Not even a full minute down in this King of the Hill match, and So King has a tower down, and not at a significant elixir disadvantage either. Really wild and crazy opening.
What an amazing play right now, just running it on through the P.E.K.K.A into the Giant. The P.E.K.K.A is going to take that thing down 10 times out of 10. And that is the opening you want in every single game, because not only does it put you at just, a straight-up advantage in the match, that's also a mind game. Canario has just taken down 2 opponents with relative ease, and he just got blasted to start this game number 3.
You gotta wonder what's in Canario's tool belt here to try to take advantage, or try to find an opening in what you gotta think is a matchup disadvantage in this moment. Will he try to get a Giant pushed on one side, maybe get the P.E.K.K.A on there, and then try to find some way the other direction? And here you go, you see him using the miner there to get that right-hand tower down. He's got to be figuring out how to get from side to side quickly.
Speaking of getting to side quickly, the Bandit is there immediately with a split push in the opposite lane, ignoring the miner. Was So King instead choosing to focus in on his own push and doing work there on this left-hand tower. He does not want to rest. He does not want to stop. He wants to keep up the aggression.
We are in double elixir time here, and So King so far having what appears to be a pretty hard counter for the deck of Canario, and there you see the P.E.K.K.A will be the immediate response every time to that Giant. A little surprised by seeing the miner go left rather than go right there. You think you might want to get that tower on the right-hand side together, and there the miner defends. Looks like it's going to be a lot of trouble here in the final 30 seconds for the Giant Slayer.
This is going to be a very difficult comeback for Canario. I mean, if there's anyone going to do it from G2, it's going to be him. But still, this is a very rough position trying to get the Giant down there on the right-hand side. I think that's going to be it. The P.E.K.K.A is there in response. What can Canario do about this?
Not a whole lot. GG's put up by Canario, and there you go. So King saying so long to the hopes and dreams of G2. Saving his team in the final game. That is it. He takes his headphones off, puts his phone down. Unbelievable. And that's why he is one of the most decorated players in all of Europe. That's why he is here today. Team Queso moves to 3-0 in a thrilling finish to this crazy matchup.
Team Queso going off, taking it here, keeping their streak alive. What phenomenal play from them. Every single one of these players showed up today, had some amazing moments, but really, it's the pushes like these, capitalizing on an overcommittal from Canario, getting the P.E.K.K.A on through, and everything to follow up. Soaking. If you give him an inch, he will take a mile.
And that is it. No matter how much matching you have, eventually it runs out. And Canario, despite having shown some fantastic performances, coming into that match with a, if you don't count the 1v1 in King of the Hill, a 5-game win streak. Really high-level stuff, but ran up against Soaking. And, you know, you also have to take into account that that was a real hard counter, that P.E.K.K.A on the board. As soon as you saw that against the Giant, you were sitting there going, what can Canario do? And it really wasn't much. Soaking sews this thing up, and that is it. Team Queso moving to the top of your leaderboard.
Team Queso with more phenomenal play here, but again, G2, they played their hearts out. It was still a phenomenal match, but in the end, it just wasn't enough. I want to hear from Soaking. Christy St. John is standing by with him. Can't wait to pick his brain and see how he's feeling after this amazing hyped match.
That was amazing. You lost to Canario in the 1v1 and then you came back angry. How are you feeling, man?
La verdad es que me siento muy contento. He perdido el 1 contra 1, pero sabía que Kuchiku iba a hacerse un buen partido. Consiguió eliminar a 2 y ya me lo dejó ahí en bandeja para eliminar al Canario.
In fact, it was complicated. I mean, Kuchi eliminated 2 of them, and we just had one more. He had to do it, so he did it, yeah.
And amazing, in that last game, you really capitalized when Canario overcommitted on that first push. Did you know then and there that that game was over?
Yo creo que tenía el match favorable y en cuanto tiró el gigante y yo tiré P.E.K.K.A, yo creía que ya la partida era mía, sinceramente.
I think that I had the counter, the matchup, so when I saw his Giant, I knew that I almost completely had the game.
Yeah, matcha favorable indeed. Amazing job. Good job taking it, Soaking, and back to you guys.
Thanks, Christy. Soaking, so far, so good. Taking his team to the top of our standings. Let's take a look at the European region.
G2 Esports falling 2-1 now, and Team Queso with the 3-0 dream. Beautiful play here from them in the European region. But Rich, we're not done yet.
We are not done at all. More action coming right your way. 2 teams looking to climb that ladder and threaten early in the season. We have Misfits Gaming against Fnatic.
How can we follow that? I have an idea. Let's gather more top players for another epic battle. Match 2 features Lemon Tea, Dion, and Fnatic. A team on the rise. Their opponents, Misfits Gaming, still on the hunt for their first CRL win. Can that one guy deliver the win? Let's find out.
Our second match in the European region is almost underway. 2 teams that both haven't lived up yet to the true skill of their players.
We are seeing, you know, a bit of a struggle here from both squads. Fnatic finally did clinch out their very first win. Misfits is still looking for it here. Can they take it over Fnatic? Will they be the ones to do it? Dion, Lemon Tea, Asuchini, though, they put up some good scores.
They did some great work in their last match, Dion finally finding his graveyard rhythm, but Misfits, despite having a really stacked roster, have yet to find the win column.
They haven't found it yet, but they're looking to do so here today. You know, I'm really excited to see what they're going to bring to the table, how they're going to switch up their strategies for today's matchups.
One of the guys trying to make that happen is standing by with Christy St. John, who's here ready to interview Reggae.
Thanks, guys. Reggae. So, you haven't had the best start. How have you been training so that today you can take home the W?
Well, it wasn't the best start, that's true. But I think we are working well. We are going in the right way. We are training hard, so results will come. We just have to continue like this.
Absolutely. And you took the 2v2 against Allegiance. You almost swept the King of the Hill. Can we see any power moves from you today?
It was a pity because we almost got the victory, but we will bring some new stuff for today.
Some new stuff. I'm excited. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Christy. Some new stuff is going to be in store potentially from both teams, of course. Lemon Tea and Dion and Asuchini showing off a bit in their last match. Misfits looking to put together a new game plan, and let's find out what that might be by putting our heads inside the war room.
All right, guys, we're playing Misfits today. The bans are Lava Hound and Poison for the first set. We're throwing out Asuchini and Lemon Tea, and they're playing Reggae and that one guy. With the bans, do you have any suggestions towards what we might play, Lemon?
With a Lava Band, I think Barbarian King, yeah, can be really, really strong.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah. With the Lava Band, like it's obviously that the Barbarian King is a ground unit, so never so good versus the Lava Hound, so it's really good that we ban the Lava Hound here and then play the Barbarian King.
Okay, 2v2, guys. Come, you're with me. How do you feel?
Pretty good.
Good?
Pretty good.
We're gonna win this, you know? Okay. The bans are Lava Hound and Poison. I think we are prepared. We have too many different combos that work pretty well, so it's good for now. Then 1v1 Pepe, you're gonna play the 1v1? Yeah. Bans?
Cannon card, Red Hawks.
Okay.
I feel good.
Are you good with that?
We know that Dion plays a lot of graveyard, but we prepared the match and you can beat him 2-0.
Okay, you're gonna win this.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Let's win this, guys. Come on.
The adrenaline is pumping. Energy is high. Everyone is hyped for battle, including me. Misfits, Fnatic, release your 2v2 tandems into the arena.
The combatants heading down the tunnel to kick things off, and we see now a slight change up for Misfits, but Fnatic keeping things the same.
Lemon Tea and Asuchini returning once again to 2v2, looking to make a mark here, going up against Misfits, who, yes, have decided to switch things up. Reggae going with, this time around, that one guy.
That one guy, a little bit of trouble there in 1v1s, maybe a bit better here in 2v2s. And here, look at the card bans. Poison, something we expect. And then Lava Hound, we've seen more of that as of late.
Keeping the game on the ground here, denying those big lava loon pushes. But Poison, of course, going to be denied, I would expect, almost every single match. That and Tornado we often see, but Tornado remaining up on the board.
Both teams looking to change their futures. Misfits, of course, searching for that very first win. Across from them, though, Fnatic feeling good after that last victory.
Fnatic starting to build some momentum in the Clash Royale League, finding that first big win here in the arena. You're seeing both teams starting to mount some initial pressure here. Miner coming out already a staple in 2v2.
And the Witch gonna probably get hit by the rocket. Yes, it does. A well-played rocket from Misfits, taking out that Witch and putting some significant damage to open up on the tower.
Another rocket flying through as well from Misfits, going to be connecting onto the tower and the P.E.K.K.A as well. So double rocket going to be in the pocket for Misfits.
Looks like Misfits taking some cues from the CRL action across the seas on the Asian continent. We've seen a lot of spell cycles, huge, almost like a spell spam over there in some of that action. And here they go applying it in the European region.
Dropping bombs here against Fnatic, quite literally, to start off this game number one. Both teams just otherwise playing it back fairly passive. We know P.E.K.K.A is going to be here, and there's the Tornado activation. This is exactly what we look for with Tornado available.
And you got to wonder, Tornado not being banned, you got to think that at some point both teams should be looking to activate that King Tower. So far, Fnatic not getting their pair of Kings up and in the fight.
They're just chilling back, being a little bit lazy, unlike our King here, who's amazing all the time, I might add. But we do have, of course, now still no crazy commitment on both sides, but Dark Goblin, another card we are seeing coming up here in the 2v2 format, but once again, the log going to be there to shut this down. Miners, though, not getting activated again here. That could have been an opportunity for Fnatic.
Yeah, Miner played maybe a little out of position there. Fnatic not capitalizing on it, but you know what? Maybe out of position, but still getting down that tower to 579.
579 is quite low when you have two rockets in the hands of the opposing team. Are we going to see the Tornado coming out to activate it? Not opting to do so here. I guess realizing that maybe this stage in the game, it's not worth spending the elixir that is, of course, in rocket range. It will fall here with 1 minute remaining in regulation.
And it's Misfits looking to right the ship early on, and with 45 seconds left in double elixir time, so far out to what appears to be an insurmountable lead.
Nice combo there with the bomb damage as well as that tornado, but still the push coming in from Fnatic has some legs trying to get the lock onto that tower, but nicely done getting that giant skeleton there in time.
That's a really great giant skeleton, not just picking up on the Inferno Dragon, but it kind of prevented any other offense from being mounted in that exact same moment, because you don't want to go into that giant death bomb.
Instant response with the P.E.K.K.A, of course, now for Misfits. Having that card as a defensive tool is always so crucial. Double Miner, again, with the activation on that King Tower, instantly shut down. That's going to be an easy game for Misfits here in game number 1.
Really nice work for Misfits, and they are all smiles. That one guy feeling a little more at home here in 2v2, paired up with Reggae, and they are off to the races.
Reggae, you know, he's known for his big control play here. I think it really showed in this matchup because it never really felt like the aggression of, you know, Fnatic paid off for them here. That one guy, he's known for playing a bunch of different styles. I feel like putting these two versatile plays together is really working for them. The communication seemed on point.
It was rocket after rocket after rocket. And it kept on being the same thing from Fnatic, playing those big troops behind the Princess Tower, giving so many opportunities for those 6 elixir to be spent so well and get so much back for it. And so here we are, game number 2 about to happen, and it's Misfits who are just 1 win away from taking the set and going into 1v1 with a convincing lead.
Will it be Misfits bringing us down in 2 quick games, or will it be Fnatic finding their life here in this, taking us to game number 3? Misfits, of course, looking very dominant in that first game. Fnatic is going to need to change things up here in game number 2.
Dueling Dart Goblins near the river, and again, it's spells being played on the tower and getting value on that princess in the back. So far, Misfits capitalizing really, really well on those opportunities.
It seems to be sort of the mentality of Misfits in this game that if there's an opportunity to, you know, land a key spell, a big spell onto, you know, an enemy troop and the tower, we will do it every single time. And it looks like they'd be running some sort of, you know, mortar cycle deck here, but here's it every single time. Again, if there's an opportunity to get damage on the tower and damage on the troops, they're going to do it.
And here we see a Goblin Barrel. Hasn't made a ton of appearances in 2v2, but with the Fireball support and the Valkyrie, a lot of damage. Asuchini and Lemon Tea getting themselves back in this early in game number 2.
Beautiful play there. The Goblin Gang pushing forward that Valkyrie, connecting onto the tower, shredding it with that axe. Solid play from Fnatic. This is exactly the kind of high-octane play they need to start game number 2 with in order to take the momentum back from Misfits.
As we reach the midway point of regulation time, it's Fnatic with a significant lead on the left-hand side and a nice distraction of that mortar using the Tombstone.
The Rascals are going to clean that up with the help of the Flying Machine. The mortar not really getting that key lock there onto one of those Princess Towers, but the big boy Misfit going to get a few hits in of his own.
And the Goblin Barrel is down again. It's going to be the Rascals and the Bats trying to defend, but now some Fireball play coming from Fnatic's on themselves.
I mean, it's interesting that they're using their log on these Tombstones after the Valkyrie Goblin Gang push, because that's such an easy way to just shut that down. Those Goblins are just going to get simply squashed by that log. So instead, opting to use it on the Tombstone there feels like they think they have other ways to clean that up.
And the Dark Goblin's getting through, but not doing a whole lot, and now the board is clear as we enter into double elixir time.
I mean, the interesting idea here is it's kind of a variant of log bait, and that might actually just be simply incorrect here. There are other ways to deal with this Tombstone there. Forcing to use the log to clean that up means they're not going to necessarily have it in all these situations. There it is. That's exactly what they want to look to do here. That log was picture perfect.
But at 265, I don't know if there's much they can do to stay in this one with just 22 seconds left. Fnatic just needs to make sure they cycle through, and they are very close to finishing this thing. The tower down to 181. Just play a little bit more defense, and they should send this thing to game number 3.
A slower pace deck from Misfits this time around, not paying off for them here. As the Goblin Barrel comes on through as well. The Fireball, the seal, the deal. That is going to be it. Fnatic taking game number 2, meaning we've got ourselves a series.
And here we go. Fnatic and Misfits going to the 3rd game of our 2v2 set. And this was the story of the game. Just getting all those small troops and the nice little push with the Goblin Gang on the Valkyrie, getting a nice early lead here. And now we're starting to see Asuchini and Lemon Tea really get their stride working together.
Shaking off those first game jitters, coming back in, feeling a lot more confident in this matchup. The Mortar just not really feeling super effective there from Misfits, not able to get those key locks onto the tower. It's just a slower play style coming in from them. Yeah, it's going to force some responses, but they just felt so comfortable running that bait variant deck, having those aggressive plays, being able to just push those forays out across the battlefield. Felt really comfortable there for Fnatic.
And it all comes down to this for the 2v2 set. Will that one guy in Reggae be able to take this thing and put Misfits one step closer to their first victory? Or will Lemon Tea and Asuchini continue to show why they are a great 2v2 pair?
Going to see if Fnatic can close it out, carrying off momentum of game number 2, or if Misfits will say, no, we are going to take this 2v2 matchup right now. Both of these teams have had some amazing individual moments and also some decisions I don't think were technically 100% correct.
Yeah, the log on those tombstones, as you pointed out, was a little bit strange, and now we're seeing Fnatic take a page out of the Misfits book, getting the big spell to eliminate a troop, that flying machine a minute ago, and now a cannon cart in the back on the left-hand side here for Misfits.
Might have been a little bit of a misplay there, not accidentally splitting the Zappies. They are going to be able to help take down this Inferno Dragon, but not going to have the split pressure here on both sides in this instance. Royal Giant now going to be the pick here for Fnatic, trying to get it through into range, but Giant Skeletons on both sides are going to be pummeling away.
Interesting play of the Royal Giant, or the Fireball on the Flying Machine. It has been so dangerous beforehand, but then you also could have seen it on the Tombstone, giving a couple more opportunities for the Royal Giant to hit that tower. So far, as we reach the midway point of regulation time, though, it is still Lemon Tea and Asuchini of Fnatic out to the slight lead.
Getting that key chip damage here, but the Valkyrie going to be marching in as well, allowing that miner to hit that shovel right there on the tower. Again, chip is so crucial in 2v2. Very rarely do we ever see one of these big all-out death pushes find success. It normally has to do with those small plays over time, but sometimes you get moments like this. Graveyard Freeze is a great way to do it.
Valkyrie Graveyard Freeze, but so far not getting a lot of value out of all that elixir spent, and it is a Royal Giant reset with the zap, pushing towards the tower. It will get at least one shot, not two, but still the damage is done.
Damage is going to come through there onto that left-hand tower. Following up with the miner is Fnatic. Those small plays, the zaps, those kind of things, it doesn't seem like much. Is it worth keeping it alive for that one shot? I think in this instance, it definitely is, because again, that chip damage adds up over time.
The Mega Minion now getting chewed up by the Inferno Dragon. A Fireball looking to stop that cannon cart in its tracks, but it gets through, and we now have another Graveyard Freeze being played on the left-hand side, but the Valkyrie is there with the Dark Goblin, should clean up a lot of this.
They're trying to keep this Giant Skeleton back, and they will do so. Beautiful tornado positioning. They committed a lot of elixir to saving that, and still taking a few hits from that Flying Machine. Not optimal there for Fnatic, having the Valkyrie, the Guards, and the Dark Goblin all committed to save on that freeze push, and we're just going to see it again from Misfits.
And we are entering into sudden death overtime. One tower goes down, and that will be the end of this 2v2 set, and it's looking like that might be the case.
That might be it!
And there we go, Misfits taking the 2v2, and you see the elation on the face of that one guy, getting the win he's been looking for, and we love to see that here at CRL.
Looking for that big W here, and that is the way to do it. An amazing play coming through, just not those last three skeletons there, just doing so much work. We saw this amazing play with that tornado, of course, pushing back the Giant Skeleton, but just having that combo in double elixir time and not being able to respond. The freeze, so punishing in this matchup.
Reggae brushing the dirt off his shoulder, well-deserved, and of course the fist ready to fight there from that one guy as they take the win in 2v2 over Fnatic. They are now just 2 games away in the 1v1 set from getting their very first victory in CRL EU and preventing themselves from dropping down all the way to 0-3.
I mean, this is the first time we have seen this particular configuration from Misfits, and it paid off for them here. They definitely felt a lot, like the teamwork felt more on point for them here in this environment. They obviously took the 2v2, that one guy there, with Reggae, able to just, get those pushes out, get those concise defenses is, and I think that was really the big thing here, their defenses always felt clean.
And that defense will be even more important as we get into our 1v1. Dion versus Pepe is on its way.
In the history of time, great men have done great things. In this next 1v1 showdown, we might just see such greatness. Pepe and Dion, make your teams proud in the arena!
Misfits again having the one set advantage going into 1v1, but they are up against a superstar in the making in Dion.
Dion, of course, making a big name for himself at the EU Combine, going up against Pepe now, looking to show off his 1v1 prowess and bring it home for Misfits.
And our card bans for this set, Royal Hogs and Cannon Cart, as we've dubbed it here at CRL.
Classic.
We are going, Clash Royale Classic.
That's it, absolutely. Both of these cards, of course, so strong in the current meta. They fit into a lot of different deck variations, but not having them on board will bring us back to those, the better days. No, there's those classic decks that we, know and love here in Clash. A little bit more, standard meta.
I don't know about you, but every deck I have has Royal Hogs and Cannon Cart, so I think these are the best days of all time. What will happen here? Will we see Dion go to his bread and butter, or will Pepe stop him in his tracks?
We're about to find out, Rich. Game number 1 of our 1v1 here. Looking to close it out is Misfits, but Fnatic, I think if anyone's going to bring it to King of the Hill, it is going to be Dion, the Dutch phenom, looking to put up some serious showing here. How will he respond to that Hog Rider? Well, just the Mega Minion, so he's going to take a few hits for that.
Pepe, of course, the 19-year-old from Italy, number 38 in the global rankings, making his 1v1 debut here, switching it up with that one guy.
We are seeing a Lava Hound push coming out now from Dion, not having a troop to respond to make that Royal Ghost Corporeal, so going to take a few more hits there. Also just opting to wait a little bit more here, playing a little bit further back. Beautiful Fireball coming out from him, going to try and deal with the 3 Musketeers, knock those down a bit, but still, this seems to be a relatively okay position for Pepe right now.
Very interesting deck from Pepe. We have seen a similar deck. Instead of the Hog Rider, it's been the Royal Hogs 3 Musketeers deck, which of course splits your ability to use that Fireball. Pepe opting to go with basically the same structure, but with the Hog Rider in place of the Royal Hogs.
Looking to just bait out one of these targets here, of course, from Dion. We may be potentially seeing the Lava Loon coming in from him. He does have that Tombstone down now, which is going to be a great distraction for that Hog Rider. So needs to deal with that first before running that down the lane. We'll see if he brings it out here as well. And watch for the Fireball to come in if we do see those 3 Musketeers.
You got to expect that maybe that Tombstone wasn't in cycle last time against that Hog Rider, which is why he took so much damage. And now a little bit more coming in so far. Pepe dictating the pace as we get closer and closer to double elixir time.
I love this move there from Pepe, not allowing Dion to really help back up that push as much as he wanted to. He's still able to get quite a bit of damage here, but the Zap and Fireball, beautifully done there from Dion. The tower falls, no instant response. That was actually fantastic play from them, showing he didn't need to overcommit. He knew exactly how much elixir needed to be spent.
Pepe had to know that the 3 Musketeers were going to be in Fireball, maybe even Zap Fireball range. So a bit of a misplay there. You got to wonder if going with this exact same deck structure that usually has the Royal Hogs to split the Fireball play and substituting a Hog Rider which doesn't have that same thing. Ooh. And again, here we see it, the 3 Musketeers, 9 elixir getting wiped out by 4. Wow.
With the Zap there as well, make it 6, but still a beautiful trade for Dion. Every single time he will make that happen with only 20 seconds left. Pepe needs to do work now, pushing in onto this weakened right-hand tower.
Look at how perfectly he placed that Tombstone, Paul, all the way to the opposite side. Pepe just really kind of getting a tough matchup here. You got to wonder about that deck selection. I think this is a beautiful deck to play, but without Royal Hogs, it just doesn't seem to have the same oomph.
Does not have that pop of pork they need to just get it on right through. The Hog Rider not being as effective here. Dion just looking so comfortable in this matchup. Had the perfect defense. It's like, oh, he's not really going to back up that push. Didn't really need to. That was exactly what he needed to take down that tower. The troops he already had on the board. And watch this play, freezing them perfectly in place, wiping them from existence.
And even with that, Three Musketeers, had they not been wiped out by the Fireball Zap combination, still really late defensive response against that push. Again, very, very interesting deck choices here for Pepe. But then the real story, in my opinion, is Dion, whose confidence seems to have grown so much from those opening couple of matches. We saw him really hit his stride in his last match with his fantastic performance and those just little adjustments that got him the victory. And here, you can see the look on his face. He looks ready to play Clash Royale.
Can Pepe rally in game number 2, or will Dion seal it out in 2 games, taking us to King of the Hill? I think Dion had a pretty favorable matchup that last time around, not having a whole lot of critical anti-air response. Was Pepe there? The Three Musketeers not ideal in that situation, and looking already like Pepe is going to mix it up.
The Bandit will not get the charge. The E-Wiz stops it in its tracks. Dion, again, feeling the rhythm, feeling the rhyme. It's bobsled time.
It's bobsled time. Yes, absolutely. Sure, bobsledding. Totally. It's also time for Fire Spirits there. I don't really know where you're going with that, but that's totally fine because Dion knows exactly what he is about, pumping out those Fire Spirits, getting this crucial structure down, which is going to help slow down any hyper-aggression from Pepe.
And here we see Dion's bread and butter, the Graveyard coming out. You know, he did get countered hard with that once against IMJP, but then mixed it up and did a better Graveyard play second time around. And here with the 1-game lead, feeling confident to get that thing on the board in game number 2.
But we are seeing a solid counter push coming out from Pepe. The charge does connect onto this tower, but a beautiful E-Wiz positioning from Dion to clean that up. Graveyard Poison, always so destructive. If you can, play defense well, that is an absolutely painful win condition to deal with.
And looking at the board, Paul, do you see a lot of counters for Pepe right now against his Graveyard deck?
There's not a whole lot of solid counters, honestly. Inferno Dragon is not super ideal to deal. Like, none of these troops, really. I mean, maybe your E-Wiz is going to do okay. The minions will do all right, but ideally you want to have something in the back like a Valkyrie. Ideally, a poison of your own is the best way to shut this down. You're still going to take that damage, but if you commit troops on top of it as well, while you're eating the poison, not only are you losing damage or losing health on your tower, you're losing those troops as well.
Well, a poison coming out from Pepe now on the offensive side of the board, taking down that tower some more. And, you think you might save that for the Graveyard, but maybe he knows something we don't.
I think he feels comfortable that he can maybe deal with that with the troops he has. He doesn't need to save the poison for that. We'll see if that is the correct decision here. Clearly, he's already done quite a bit of crucial damage, but now feeling very comfortable putting down this Graveyard is Dion, knowing the poison is not going to be there to deal with that. He is going to drop his own poison in return, shredding through those minions, shredding through this Mega Knight, and look at the tower dropping.
Down almost under 1,000 with 30 seconds left. Pretty much neck and neck as we approach our sudden death overtime. The MK, the Mega Knight, getting across the board, and now we see minor poison coming from Pepe. Now, look, to be fair, he's putting that right-hand tower into really dangerous position.
I mean, I'll look at this on paper and I feel like, wow, Dion's going to be in a great position here. But no, this minor poison has been played to perfection. He realizes he is in a state right now where he can commit his poison offensively because he's been doing a good enough job defending as it stands right now. This is the moment for Dion. He needs to get critical damage on the board, but in response, Pepe is keeping up the pressure.
That was a key E-Wiz there to stop that miner from putting the tower into poison range. But will he have enough? We are 15 seconds into sudden death overtime. Can Dion send us right now to King of the Hill, or will Pepe give us a third game in 1v1?
Dion needs to take this for his team. He doesn't want to give this match up to Pepe now. Pepe, who is hanging on for dear life, actually in a really solid position right now. This might actually be it. This defense from Dion needs to be perfect. No, it's not.
The skeletons on the inside. The miner goes outside. We might have called that a little bit off early. It looked like Pepe didn't have the response to the Graveyard, and we kind of thought, well, you're not holding the poison back for the Graveyard, but instead, he puts the pressure on the opposite side of the board, forces Dion to start playing from behind, and it worked out for him here, sending us to game number 3 of 1v1.
Having that Mega Knight in his back pocket was really critical here, able to drop that down on the Graveyard every time, able to alleviate some of that pressure, knowing it was going to survive the poison. The minions We're going to do a little bit, but they were going to get cleaned up as well. Really, that Mega Knight was a critical factor here for Pepe. Solid play from him, identifying, look, I am ahead enough early that I can trade this poison positive. I can put this forward on offense. I don't have to worry about saving it for myself. I know that if this keeps going back and forth, I'm going to come out on top.
And so it all comes down to this. Can Misfits get their first victory in CRL EU on the back of Pepe, or will Dion send this thing to King of the Hill?
Now, we've seen Dion make adjustments to these graveyard decks. Was that something we're going to see again here, Rich?
It's a distinctive possibility. We saw that against IMJP. He could do that here. You know, that's part of those mind games you bring up a lot. Does he make a change for this third game, or make it just a minor change, a major change? How do you play that out?
Do you make a minor change? I mean, no? Okay.
I see. I see
there
what
we
you
go.
did
There we go. Both players now just opting to play it a little more patiently here in game number 3. Neither one wants to be the one to make that critical misplay. Not only is it potentially giving something away about your deck, but it's also opening yourself up to a potential counterattack.
Dion putting the Furnace down, so we might be seeing the same thing as before. Distinctive possibility. Now a Bowler in the back. So now we have Bowler and Ice Wiz. It's a possibility we have double Graveyard.
Double Graveyard, always so fun to cast, as let's hope we don't see some accidental misclicks on Poison here again this time around. But well, with both of these players having that win condition potentially in their decks, this is going to make for some very interesting decision-making, knowing when you want to commit your own Poison, if we do see that as well, when you want to play on defense, when you want to go aggressive, and we're seeing that already from Dion.
And there you go, Dion going back to what he knows, one of the more confident Graveyard players in the world, taking the early lead on the right-hand side, with a Poison now, doing a nice job cleaning up both of the Wizards.
That Poison was money from Dion, connecting onto both of those Wizards. The positioning was trying to be there from Pepe to avoid that exact scenario, and not quite able to make it happen.
We are now 19 seconds away from double Elixir time. Dion has not taken a lick of damage on his side of the board. The right tower, Pepe, down to 824.
Feeling a little bit more confident in this matchup is Dion, playing this to perfection. The Bowler is going to be marching through from Pepe. Let's see what he can build behind this. If this gets over the bridge, watch for a potential Graveyard of his own.
But the Inferno Dragon coming down, I wonder if he'll do something to distract that Ice Golem and get the Inferno Dragon to lock on the Bowler. It goes down fairly quickly. Can it take the Bowler out fast as well?
That Poison connecting onto 4 key targets. Nicely done, just pushing this through sheer force of will. Nice distraction on the Inferno Dragon, though. Bring it over to the left-hand side. But this is still a solid push being mounted from Pepe. They get over the bridge, and there's the Graveyard.
But there's the defensive Poison on the Graveyard, so those skeletons, very few are going to get through. You do have 2 Wizards getting across, but the Valkyrie making short work of that combination.
And we are having the Electro Wizard, of course, to shut down that Inferno Dragon. Such an important component for the deck of Dion, and not allowing that Inferno Dragon to get those key locks, because in the back, the tower is starting to crumble for Pepe, getting oh so low. The Poison was used, but 311 HP, not a lot to work with, just out of that log Poison range.
Bowler, not the greatest thing to go up against, but oh, a nice lane switch with the Tornado on that Inferno Dragon.
And forced to use that log, potentially not the most optimal situation here. We are having the Poison also being used here for Dion, trying to keep the tower alive. There's the GY in the back as well, so a nice hold overall, but a good counter Poison coming in from Pepe.
And that was so interesting using that. Oh no, I think that's going to be it there on the right-hand side. Wonderful performance by Dion. We've seen him grow so fast in CRL, the confidence building, and he once again sends his team to King of the Hill.
Beautiful play from him. The backwards hat clearly is the difference maker here for this player, but it's also things like that. That Poison was absolutely perfect, getting maximum value. That is Dion playing at his best.
Wiping both of the Wizards off the board. Dion now flowing. And we talked about he makes those little Graveyard adjustments. And that's interesting. You know, he's a guy who doesn't have a lot of tournament experience, but he does have ladder experience. And you play the same deck over and over and learn to make little small tweaks when you're doing that. And here we've seen it now from him twice. Playing Graveyard, getting countered, making adjustments, coming back and winning. Dion now sending his team to King of the Hill. And both teams now on the brink, trying to figure out how can I stay up from the bottom of the standings.
I mean, as soon as Pepe saw the Ice Wizard, I mean, he really needed to hold that poison. I mean, it only takes us one misplay in this matchup, one toe out of line for it to all crumble, and we saw it happen here. But it's not over yet. Misfits still has a chance as we go into King of the Hill, our tiebreaker format, of course, where both teams field 3 players. First team to 3 wins takes it here, where it is very possible to sweep the entire opposing squad.
Interesting note here, both teams will get the opposing team's card ban and then use that information to set their lineups. We'll find out what they're thinking right now as we go inside the war rooms.
All right, guys, we made it to King of the Hill.
Yeah.
We both banned Royal Hogs. Our lineup is going to be Asu Chini first.
You got this, Asu.
Lemon Tea is second. And then if we need it, Dion's going to clean up for us.
No.
Having Jose go first. Runs a lot of off-meta decks. I have faith in you, Jose. We're not even going to need the other 2. You're just going to 3-0. Second, me. I know what I'm using. You guys know what I'm using. They know what I'm using. Third, Pepe. Even though you had a tough last loss, it wasn't because of bad deck selection or just a few mistakes, but we still have faith you can come back and clutch it out for us if we need you.
This match is a standoff at the bridge. 2 cannon carts locked on one another. It can only be settled with King of the Hill, Misfits and Fnatic. Send your first combatants into the arena.
The teams have conferred, and now they send out the first people for both rosters. Interesting, Asu Chini leading for Fnatic against Jose LC.
Lemon Tea as well as Dion for Fnatic. That one guy in the middle spot, and Pepe to anchor for Fnatics. But Asu Chini going up against Jose LC, with both teams opting to ban Royal Hogs.
Royal Hogs, one of the most popular bans in any 1v1 format, both King of the Hill and in our set number 2. Not much changes here. You know, you might think we'd see another replay of the Cannon Cart Royal Hog ban, but no, both teams wanting that card off the board, and maybe for good reason.
Maybe for good reason. I mean, the way we've seen these pros play with this card, the ability to split out those hogs, get pressure on both sides, force responses, get positive elixir trades, get that key damage in place. That's really what they're going to look to do here, or in this case, not do here, because of course, it's banned.
Can Misfits get their first win? Can Fnatic get their second? King of the Hill is underway.
Will it be enough here? Jose LC going to try and seal this one out. Statistically speaking, considering we've gone back and forth every single time, he should take this first game in King of the Hill.
Asu Chini being one of the best Sparky players in the world, and Skarmy, the Skeleton Army, making an appearance here in King of the Hill. We haven't seen a lot of it in CRL so far. A little interesting seeing it at this moment.
We saw our very first Skeleton Army yesterday in North America, and let's just say it didn't have the most success. Seeing it here again is going to be Asu Chini. Asu Chini, of course, again known for his incredible Sparky play. Is this the secret formula? Is it Skeleton Army?
And now we see the Battle Ram making it down the right-hand side. And it's going to, and there we go. We do see the Sparky, but a little late to stop that Battle Ram. Now we're going to see, are the legends true? Can Asu Chini ride that electric vehicle all the way to victory?
Oh boy, can he make it happen here? We are going to be pushing the Giant along as well. This is actually going to be very tough to deal with the Skeleton Army in the back to distract the Bandit. We are going to have the P.E.K.K.A slowly whittling through that Giant, but all the while charging him up and taking him down.
The Sparky behind the Giant can be so frustrating. I recently ran into that one scrimmaging with some of the players from CRL. And here you go, getting connection on the tower, and that is huge. And look at Asu Chini showing off why he's so well known for playing this card.
Look, there's no rage and clone, okay? It's not Trainer Chris absolutely dismantling us in the clan. But no, this is just Asu Chini dismantling Jose LC in this matchup right now. He is looking so comfortable and confident with the Sparky deck, something he has played over and over and over again.
And a Sparky shot is such an interesting choice here, doing the Mega Minion down with so much elixir, maybe choosing to absorb that Bandit shot to set up a push. But as I was saying, every time that Sparky goes off, it hurts your emotions so much as a defensive player because you just wish you hadn't let it happen.
Oh, I love this play as well from Asuchini, pulling the P.E.K.K.A in, chasing the Giant, bringing it in range of the Sparky, which he played on the opposite side. He will still tank that key hit there from that Ram, but not going to be suffering the whims of the P.E.K.K.A there. Leaking a little bit of elixir through all of this, though. Maybe going to be giving Jose LC a bit of an advantage.
And now there's the E-Wiz disrupting the Sparky's path. You know, Asuchini taking a lot of damage so far that you think maybe he might be allowing that damage to set up some of those Sparky pushes. Again, this is a guy who plays a card that's not as big for many competitive players, and maybe he's making some choices that he understands, but we don't.
That's definitely potential here, but that is going to be it. The poison is not going to be enough to take this down. Asuchini, not the most clean play in a couple of situations. Again, maybe just some decisions we're not fully aware of, but nice plays coming out there from Jose LC on Asuchini, the log coming through here and as well. But really, it was just this push set up by Asuchini. So he knew exactly what his game plan was every step of the way.
Risk reward by the Fnatic player, and it totally pays off. Again, I'm going to make this point one more time. There are some plays, some damage he took that we might, as not the professional Sparky players that he is, look at and go, why are you letting that happen? But again, he built up a lot of elixir to make some big pushes with that Sparky, especially behind that Golem, and it got him the victory. And now Asuchini showing off those skills as he takes out Jose LC. Next up is that one guy.
Putting it away, yeah, as you said, putting that Sparky down behind the Giant, getting that push together, allowing it to soak up that P.E.K.K.A damage. We'll see if he holds on to it, if he changes it up. Asuchini going off in game number 1.
Can that one guy find redemption in the 1v1 games here in our King of the Hill format, or will Asuchini add one more Misfit to his trophy case?
This has been such an even matchup so far. We've seen it going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth in every single one of these games. Both, trading games here, Misfits and Fnatic. Starting off with a Lava Hound is Asuchini, but taking a lot of damage on the opposite side from the fast, aggressive play of that one guy.
That one guy with the Hog Rider, and now putting down some defense against that Lava Loon push. Will the Pups distract from the balloon? Looks like they do. Can it get all the way to the tower? At least some death damage should make it on.
Good hold there from that one guy, and good return with that Dart Goblin, getting a lot of damage here on both of these towers to start this off. This is going to be tough here for Asuchini to push this Lava Loon push through. This is going to be, I think, a bit tough one here because every single time he tries to mount a push, there is going to be a response from that one guy.
That one guy having the Inferno Tower in his hand, or in his deck, very valuable, but he has to stay aggressive, getting that hog down and forcing Asuchini to make responses in the opposite lane.
Having this Inferno Tower will be a key part of this defense, but as you said, absolutely, he needs to keep up the pressure. He cannot allow Asuchini to play this too, comfortably here in this setup right now, because as we're seeing once again, just pushing on through, Dark Goblin is not going to stay, but in fact, going to trade up for this tower right now, left-hand side, absolutely going down, but will Asuchini get one in return?
And it looks like he will, with the Lava Hound holding aggro from the Princess Tower. It is the balloon taking it down, nice and simple, but take a look at the King Tower of Asuchini, now down to 2,064.
Splitting the HP bar in half is that one guy, but taking some damage of his own there on the King Tower, so opting to trade to start this off. Immediately switching lanes is Asuchini. He is still being the one dictating the pace here. I'm surprised from that one guy. He has the more aggressive deck, but Asuchini's always been the one to make the first move.
We are into double elixir time, and now this is nice play from Asuchini, forcing the response on the left-hand side. That one guy you think wants to rush the opposite lane, but of course, maybe he wants to try to go for that 3 crown as well. But here we go, Asuchini not paying off all the way, the Inferno Tower doing its work.
As that one guy split pushed beautifully there, he could not back up that Lava Hound push with the balloon like he wanted to. Perfect timing there, though, with that log to clean up the Tombstone with the Hog Rider, getting one more swing through that's what that one guy is going to be looking to do here for the rest of this game.
That one guy playing very pretty, and notice that he didn't use the poison offensively on the tombstone that time, didn't get that elixir disadvantage, and now he's going to have it available to deal with this push on the left-hand side.
The poison, though, getting a few ticks there, but the balloon is still going to connect on through to that Inferno Tower. The pups not doing too much there as well. On to that Princess Tower, so still doing quite well is that one guy. Asuchini not quite able to find the opening he needs.
That one guy's defense looking really fantastic right now, made a couple of mid-game adjustments, and as we are entering into sudden death overtime, he has the lead on both the Princess and King Towers.
This is a good spot for him right now. Dark Goblin coming down, though, allowing for an easy fireball target. Nice push in there, though, with the Hog Rider onto that Valkyrie. Going to be getting at least one, probably two more hits onto this tower, whittling them down. This is massive, but the Inferno Tower has fallen, gutting it back in hand, though. Nicely done, pulling it forward for that balloon.
That is a brilliant, look at that Valkyrie distracting the Inferno Tower and the balloon. Sneaking through, it's going to get at least one hit, might get two. We are in sudden death overtime.
There we go.
That one guy goes down. Asuchini now one win away from sweeping Misfits in King of the Hill and taking this thing for Fnatic.
Forced to play that Inferno Tower up, trying to bring back that balloon and the and the Lava Hound there. But it really just came down to this play, having to the Valkyrie there as well, instantly deleting this, having that Valkyrie to tank for it there in that instant, the pups as well. That was perfect timing from Asuchini.
And Asuchini now really stepping up. He's taken down two of the Misfits and just one remaining in his way. The 19-year-old Italian Pepe looking to clutch things and hopefully reverse sweep here for Misfits.
Pepe, this is a tall order for him, going through Asuchini, Lemon Tea, and Dion. Fnatic is looking strong right now in King of the Hill. I love this. A mixture of playing comfort decks with that Sparky, but then also going more meta with that Lava Loon. Asuchini showing his range.
As a reminder, Royal Hogs out for both. And a little note here, Asuchini, the first player to get to 6,710 trophies using the Sparky.
That's a very specific Sparky number here, but that is absolutely terrifying. Any guy who plays one deck for 1.5 years to absolutely perfect it is somebody that I am going to watch for here. We do have the Rascals coming down the lane, but that Magic Archer shredding through not only them, but the tower as well.
Beautiful positioning on a high skill cap card, and the Magic Archer doing its job. The Bats now, nice play to distract it.
Potential mortar play coming out here as well. Mortar bait going up against that Magic Archer. So we'll see how this happens here as well. But the Ram coming through here as well. So maybe switching things up is Pepe, and there is the mortar going down there as well.
The mortar played back in a defensive position, doing some nice work so far for Asuchini, who with 1 minute down has only 1682 remaining on his right-hand tower.
And of course, Asuchini is fighting for Fnatic to go 2-2 in the overall standings right now. That would be absolutely massive for them here to keep that momentum alive, whereas Pepe is fighting. He needs to reverse sweep to get Misfits' first win in the CRL.
And now Miner, the final card. Not surprising here, Mortar Miner bait coming from Asuchini. And again, the brilliant Magic Archer play from Pepe.
Still just wearing through this tower of Asuchini. This is exactly what he needs to be doing right here, getting the Ram through as well. This is a fun deck coming out from him, really relying on the response from Asuchini and then countering with that Magic Archer.
You know, it's interesting he keeps using that Mortar way in the back. You got to wonder if that's the right call here. It's sort of, some people might think it's a waste of his win condition, although we did earlier see a Mortar Miner play where the Miner ended up being the way to get the chip damage. Maybe he's feeling more defensive, seeing that that Battle Ram on the board, but the real culprit here has been that Magic Archer.
That Magic Archer, knowing that those bats were going to line on up, taking him down. Sharpshooter over here, brilliant positioning on that, supporting the push here on the right as well with the poison. Fantastic play from Pepe. We did see the Miner be the true win condition here when we saw Mortar Miner earlier, but in this case, I feel like at this point, you're so far behind, you need to have more than just chip alone. The Mortar needs to be a factor.
In that case, also the opponent did have P.E.K.K.A, so keeping that Mortar back as a defensive play was pretty slick. But here we go. Now the Mortar Miner pouring some heat on the left-hand side. The tower down to 1036 as we have only 18 seconds left in regulation.
This tower going down, though, quite low as well. On the right-hand side, the push is still alive. Goblin Gang to distract. Solid moves so far, but still holding on is Asuchini. And there's the mortar out in time, beautifully trying to find that cycle as well.
The deck for Asuchini so fast, has had a lot of answers, and now here stopping the battle ram as well. But now the poison coming in to do work on the right-hand tower, and we are in significant trouble on the right-hand side.
It feels like for this last 30 seconds to a minute, Pepe has truly been in control, trying to fight. We had that moment there when Asuchini felt comfortable. There is going to be the P.E.K.K.A as well, baiting through that mortar. But it just feels like this has been the Pepe show for the last couple minutes there, having that Magic Archer there as well. Just out of range, though, not actually connecting onto that Princess Tower.
There was a huge zap play a moment ago that saved Asuchini, but will he have something similar in store as we are now getting about a minute deep into sudden death overtime?
Both of these players looking to find that key moment, getting those key reads. The miner in the back, slight misread there as well on those minions, but now the mortar is here once more on the field, but the Royal Ghost is pushing through with the ram in the back.
And the Log doing a good job of getting the Battle Ram and the Magic Archer out of play. Asuchini making some heads-up adjustments here in the later stages of this King of the Hill match.
The mortar is going to connect there onto the tower with the miner as well. This might be Asuchini looking for a good redirect, though, with the E-Wiz, but he is getting so close, Rich.
Down to 304 in significant danger, but notice again, Asuchini has no big spells, so spell cycle here is going to be a little bit more difficult, and he needs some of those on the left-hand side. Oh no, the mortar played in the wrong spot, and the Battle Ram gets through, and that is it. Pepe stops the sweep from taking down Misfits.
Oh no, a key misplay at the end coming out from Asuchini. He looked so clean for so long, but it was just that one tiny error. The Battle Ram making it through, taking down the tower. Pepe finding his window and exploiting it. Oh, that's a feels bad man for Asuchini.
Just a little misplay. You wonder if he played a little more conservatively early on, would he have been in a better position to take this thing down? Fnatic now one player down, but don't you worry, they have two more in the hole. Up next, the Frenchman, 19 years old, is Lemon Tea.
This control player, you know, again, he likes to play a little more passively, find out what his opponent is doing, and then capitalize on it, reading those decks, you know, reading up, having that knowledge, having that analysis in the back for his squad. Can he take it down? Now that he's seen Pepe play, will he have an answer?
And here we go, King of the Hill. Pepe now taking out one member of Fnatic, but across from him, the EU Combine standout, Lemon Tea.
Came in as the 20th seed, but went 8-0 in the 1v1. Lemon Tea definitely a standout here. Him and Dion were truly some up-and-coming prospects, picked up by Fnatic, trying to shape these guys into champions.
A big-time esports organization taking what some might see as a bit of a risk, but so far we've seen this team grow. Can it really pay off here? Will they get the win and close things out against Pepe, or can Pepe extend this thing to the final game of King of the Hill?
He needs to sweep them all to make it happen for Misfits, whereas Fnatic just needs one more win. Can they do it here? Both these players playing relatively fast. Probably going to be Golem coming out right now from Pepe, but we'll see, having this miner coming out from Lemon Tea, possibly Poison as well. We'll see what he can do with this.
And the cannon car, it might just make it out of the poison. Yes, it does, but zapped at the river, not going to get on the tower.
So possibly. All right, we're going to see what both these players do here going into what is the midpoint in our regulation time. Again, neither one over-committing. I love this. Lemon Tea, when asked, what about his playstyle, he's high risk, high reward. Sometimes he likes to go a little bit over-aggressive, and sometimes it costs him, but sometimes it allows him to make those big plays.
We only have 30 seconds left in single elixir time, and if he is playing Mortar Bait, Lemon Tea, this is where he has the advantage. Once we get the double elixir, that Golem deck is going to be very hard to stop.
It is going to be tough to deal with, but the mortar is out, going to be raining down fire, and I like this with the baby dragon in the back as well, giving that a little bit additional utility, the splash damage there, good stuff from them. But the Night Witch as well, always so crucial in these pushes, giving that additional air support, cleaning up the bats is exactly what you want to see with this golden push.
But the golem push now getting on the left-hand tower. We are in double elixir time, the go time for Pepe's golem deck. And so far, he is doing a great job. The left-hand tower of Lemon Tea down to 852, 825.
Beautiful push from him there, but Lemon Tea responding in kind with the miner there as well. The mortar cycle going to be coming out again. It had an advantage potentially earlier on. Oh, but nice stop there on the right-hand side. He's going to beat up the cannon cart, looking to get through. The zap, but no, it's still in range.
The cannon cart does lock on, but will it be enough? With 22 seconds left, can he stop this golem push and mount an offense as we get closer to our sudden death overtime?
Golem NATO in full force right now, pulling the back into the death damage, trying to secure this right-hand tower, though all the while is going to be Lemon Tea. Shutting it down is Pepe, and able to hold off the push beautifully there. Lemon Tea baiting everything back. The tornado was not enough.
And the Spear Goblin stopping the Lumberjack from doing too much damage on the right-hand side and preventing the Mega Minion. But again, it's going to be how do you deal with this Golem push. At this point, Lemon Tea is kind of working against the current of the river. Now we are about 20 seconds into sudden death overtime.
I mean, luckily we have the cannon cart here dropping, pulling back those golemites, but I absolutely agree. The second that first golem came down, he needed to start executing his split push here. Now it's like skating uphill for Lemon Tea. But you know what? His individual plays can make it happen here. This guy has the micro potential to simply outplay his opponents in a lot of situations, but Pepe as well is looking strong.
And now the Spear Goblin's getting on the right-hand tower. Very interesting. And the miner. This could be it. Could it be the end here? Might Lemon Tea close this thing out right now? Oh my gosh, 36 holding on. Where is the zap?
Where's the zap?
You got to get that out there. Get this tower down. The mortar down. You know, I think we're going to be okay.
There it is.
And there you go. What
my heart.
Wow.
My heart.
What a moment. You got it. Your whole body is going, wow, please get this card in my hand. Please get this card in my hand. The zap was unnecessary. The miner takes care of business. And Lemon Tea finishes off the work that his teammate Asuchini started, closing things out for Fnatic. They move on to 2-2.
Beautiful play there from Fnatic in the end. The Goblin Gang, not always the card we see. Now the true receive, you know, making these clutch plays at the end, but bringing it down into that crucial threshold and then just holding on was Lemon Tea, able to cycle back out the miner.
Oh, but take a look there. We didn't see it. The tornado misses the miner. That tornado could have been the difference for Pepe, but wow, what a great performance for Fnatic. The Combine players paying off here, moving their team up the standings.
Beautifully done there. I think it might have still got one hit off, even with the initial pull. They would have to have been a pre-tornado coming out there, perfectly placed as well, the slightest of misreads. But as you said, in the end, the zap would have cleaned it up onto that 56 threshold. But either way, beautiful play from both squads. An absolute back and forth war. Fnatic clutching it out. As you said, the Combine standouts there from EU going off, going 2-2. They're just looking to keep this streak going. They are on fire.
We are. I'm a little out of breath here. That was so exciting. You know, it's such a great joy to cast CRL. We get to do EU, get to do NA, see all these fantastic players. And right now, our colleague Christy St. John is standing by with one of them. Let's go hear from Lemon Tea.
Thanks, guys. Oh, that last match was so close. And you were playing a bit of mind games there. You played the exact same deck that your teammate just lost to. What was the thought process?
Yeah, I wanted him to repeat P.E.K.K.A, but when I saw the Golem, I was crying because I don't want to play Golem with Mortar. So that was really unfortunate, yeah.
You had a bad matchup and you played it perfectly. And now your team has 2 wins, 2 losses. Does this give you a little bit of confidence going forward?
Yeah, of course. We took the first win against Dignitas and now the second, so yeah, really good shape for our team.
Great shape. Congrats, man. Looking good. Back to you.
Thanks, Christy. Another fantastic game here in the European region. The action keeps heating up, and so do the standings. Let's take a look at where Fnatic fits now.
Fnatic bringing themselves up to this actually, I was going to say to the center, but they've actually brought themselves up into that top 4 spot, into that playoff contention zone. Fnatic not having the strongest start here, making some changes, putting in the work. I had a chance to talk to their team manager at the start of the season. He's like, look, we're just going to outwork every single team here, and it is showing. They are improving every single time we see them in a big way.
These players getting used to playing under the big lights, and you can follow them as they get better and better by hitting that subscribe button for the Clash Royale Esports YouTube channel, or of course going into your app and slide on over to where you can get to that exact same page.
And esports.clashroyale.com as well. So many ways to keep up to date with all the amazing Clash Royale Esports action. Europe will return next week, next Wednesday, with more amazing games. North America still has more awesome action. You can see more of us here, more of us talk about the video game. It's going to be great. Hit subscribe.
For both of us here, Paul and Verum Todkill, I'm Rich Slayton. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next week.
Zowie! Every day and every match, the action intensifies and the players grow bolder. I, for one, have never seen such courageous effort in battle, such trickery. I mean, did you see that? Today was only one day in a long season of CRL action. Watch every tower drop right here on the road to the World Finals. And please, subscribe to the Clash Royale Esports channel. I'm begging you. This is the Clash Royale League. And remember, you can take out a princess tower, but if you're lucky enough to take the princess herself out on a date, be sure to get her home on time. You'll have me to answer to.